smart to bring him back? Is he healthy?
Yeah, it was smart to bring him back. He's healthy. Obviously he's not 100%, but he's pretty close. I mean, he's looked good in practice. He looked good before that game. He looked good in the pregame. On the miss, I'll just talk about the miss. I need to do a better job of communicating to the holder and the snapper, that we were going to kick the field goal. I just assumed that they were together, but they weren't, and that was my fault. So, I mean, that little bit of change where Harrison's panicking, where are they? That has an effect. So it wasn't his injury. I don't think that had anything to do with it. I just think anytime you get a operation out of sync like that, whether they have to rush or somebody's not there, or it's that puts a toll on it, and I think that's what happened there. I'll take the blame. That was my fault. Get those guys out there. I can't assume that they're right together. So,
Dave, we noticed on that kick as well, and I wonder if the operation sped him up just a little bit, but he still landed on his.
No, that's his technique. I mean, he's not going to
do that all year.
Yeah, his technique is to break. His leg comes down, and now people are just noticing now because it's his knee and it's his bad. So they're looking at that leg. But all year long, his technique is to collapse that leg after he follows through. He doesn't. Most kickers, I mean, if you watch them, they plant, they kick, and then they hop on that leg. That leg gets replaced. He keeps his foot planted, and then his knee breaks, and then he steps through with his right leg. Now he developed that technique after he got injured at the Arizona game, a couple of years ago. So that's something that's developed over time, and you can't just change your technique because you got injured. All of a sudden now he's going to go back to the other. So he's going to keep the same technique, and that's all that was right there.
An accuracy thing? Is it more power? What does that allow him to do?
I'm not sure about the power. I'm not sure he has more power the other way. I mean, it's up for debate. Accuracy is fine. I mean, he's been doing this for 2 years. He missed that field goal, but that wasn't his. He was coming back, but that wasn't his fault. I mean.
And I know this is just the way of the league, but I feel a little bit bad for Matthew Wright, right? Special teams player of the week, and then he's just got to.
Yeah,
he
knew what he was getting when he came here. I mean, he knew he was coming in a temporary basis, and he took full advantage of his opportunity. He did everything he could possibly do. He made all his kicks. Special teams player of the week, AFC special teams player of the week. He did everything he could possibly do, and then when Bucker came back, we had to cut him. I mean, because it's 53 men on the roster, and that's the way it rolls. He knew that was coming, but it was kind of weird because he got 2 game balls out. We give the game balls out on Saturday. He gave the game balls out on Saturday. He had, and then before the walkthrough, he comes to my office. He's cut. So, but he knew it. It's just it is a tough business. When you look at it that way, but it's going to help him down the road, like I said.
Justin kicked off again. I assume Harrison will eventually do that. How close is he?
Yeah, Harrison's back. I think he'll be back, in that role. We still have Justin as an option. If we want to kick it in the target zone, we want them to return it. I like having Justin do that because he's a better cover guy, a guy that can go down there and make tackles. And I don't want Bucker making tackles, We don't want him getting hurt doing something like that. So if we want to kick the ball to him, we use Justin. If we want to try to kick touchbacks and make him come out deep with it, we go Bucker. So that's what we'll do.
How nice is it to catch up with someone like Tommy pregame? You mentioned.
Yeah, Tommy and I were real close. And it's going to be good to see Tommy again. He's having a great season. I mean, his numbers are really, really good. And, we look forward to the challenge of playing against Tommy now. I mean, so we know Tommy. So it's going to be fun, a little bit of a reunion seeing him again.
Coach, and this is in general terms, I'm not going to ask you the health of the quarterback. The fans are going crazy. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? What's the attitude on a professional football team when you have a question mark at quarterback because you don't know the health of somebody?
You were asking me about the quarterback? No. I mean, we're all supportive. If he's able to go, he's going to go. And everybody's on board with it, and that's just the way it rolls. And he's a tough guy now.
Couple more.
How about the Texans return game? What about that?
Very good. I mean, Pierce, the returner, the kick returner, he doesn't go down. That's as simple as that. He breaks tackles, and he's really, really tough. And then they got Tank Dell back there at punt returner now. He's got 6 returns. He's averaging like 14 every time he touches it. Never fair catches it. So, I mean, they're a top unit. Great cover team. Great, very well coached. Fairbairn, the kicker, is excellent, and Tommy, we know all about him. So, it's a good unit. playoff team caliber level.
The first
Last
punt
one.
there and the coverage, that textbook there, stripping the ball, recovering it, all that stuff.
Yeah, everything was good. I mean, the punt, I would like to see better hang time. It was a middle kick, not a lot of hang time, but our guys, it's a teamwork thing. Like if the punter hits a ball, the gunner's got to be good. It works like that. If the gunners aren't good, the hang time better be there. So on that punt, it wasn't a great punt, but it was down the middle. But Wallace came in and punched that ball out. Great play when we needed it. I mean, that was a big, get us up, early. Offense scored right after that, so that was a big thing on the road.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thanks. See you later.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to get a nice day, get outside, enjoy some weather. I hate going inside. Wouldn't you guys rather be outside? No? You'd rather be in there. Listen, coming off the last week's game, if I was being honest, I'd say we were all happy except for one play. We played some pretty good defense. But with that, we put it to bed, and now it's on to a playoff team. This is a good football team with a really good quarterback and some weapons. So all hands on deck for this one. With that, I'll open it up.
6 turnovers, 5 sacks. We're going to see that again this week.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it? I hope we didn't. I just said it in the locker room. I hope we didn't use them all up.
Seriously, did you see some progress? Did you see some things that maybe sustainable?
Well, I tell you, the play that Brian Cook made, I thought was a really good athletic play. He played that perfect. And then Trent, I mean, to get your first interception on a play like that was. And then at the end of the game, it was nice to finish the game with an interception rather than having them drive a little bit. So all that was good. Leo's been doing that all year long. He doesn't practice. He's done it in the games, and sometimes it comes out, sometimes it doesn't. But that was perfect. And the play Nick made, it was the first play of the second half?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, first he hit it, went bounced back. I thought it was going to be one of those where he made a great play and then they caught it, and then he found a way to tear it out of there. But some really good individual plays, I thought, on those turnovers. And then Charles with the
facing a team like Houston with Nico Collins there, just has his development, CJ
Yeah.
Stroud's development in their second year together. Just what is it you've seen out of them that makes them so successful?
I mean, they look like they're in complete synergy, you know, and not just those two, and not just that wide out. And I think they got a tight end that's real effective. Their slot receiver's really good. And then the running back, you know, who we saw a lot when he was in Cincinnati. Boy, what a find he was for them. And not just as a running back. He catches the ball out of the backfield too. We hadn't played the Texans since CJ had gotten there, so really hadn't studied him other than seeing highlights and whatnot. But he's as impressive as you had heard about people talking. Really poised for a second-year quarterback, and I think he just has a unique ability to move around in the pocket and still have his eyes downfield. He makes a lot of plays slipping in and out of the pocket and finding an open receiver. And when a quarterback can do that, I think that's pretty dangerous.
How do you feel like Charles Omenihu is impacting the D-line, and then really the second and third levels as well? Like the whole defense.
Yeah, well, listen, you guys know how I feel about Charles. It was good to get him back, and it was going to take a little while to kind of amp him up. He's playing a little bit more on first and second down now, which is a good thing for us when they decide to throw it. He's getting better in the run game. That takes a little while. I mean, remember, he steps into this thing with really no padded practices since the Baltimore game, a year ago. So that's taken a little while, but I think he's getting there, and I'm glad we got him. And we just need everybody, everybody up front to kind of play like we did last week to help everybody else on the back end.
Steve, you're wondering that Josh Uche has not been active.
Yeah, well, there's only so many hats, right, on game day. But I talked to Josh the other day. I mean, we'd like to try to find a way to amp him up. So that's Joe Cullen is evaluating that every week, and there's a couple guys there that could, Malik has played good football for us. So, somewhere down the road here, maybe you see one or two of those guys, and hopefully nobody gets hurt, because usually that changes everything with injuries. But that's probably going to be a week-to-week thing there.
It appears you might not have Chamari this week with him in the protocol. It appeared that you guys moved to turn around a little bit more with his absence.
Yeah.
Is that just a specific thing for that game, or do you?
Yeah, in the middle of the game, we had to get somebody in there that had gotten some reps. Trent always gets nickel reps. He did it last year. He doesn't need many, but during the week, if we do a walkthrough, he always gets them. And Chris Roland Wallace gets them as well. And so those are the two guys that, Chris will get the boatload of it, and we'll see where it goes from there. But we've got a couple different things we're kind of working on and looking at. When you have injuries, we gotta find a solution. So there'll be some things we'll have to do if we don't have Chamari.
Trent said he, during the play, right before the interception, he glanced up at the Jumbotron. Is that taught at all? Is there going to be some sort of delay there sometime?
I wish I could say I did teach that. Now, my guess is what he was saying was he was looking at the Jumbotron that way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
Whatever he did, tell him to keep doing it.
Savvy? Is that
Very savvy, yeah. I remember guys running free for touchdowns, looking up and seeing somebody's catching them, right? I have never heard the interception one, but
Was it just randomness that he had not had an interception in his
I
career?
think so, because I don't recall, I'm not sure there's been any this year. Can you guys recall any that he dropped? There may have been a couple in the years prior. I think there's a couple in years prior where he may have dropped them, but it hasn't been that. Part of what happens when you're a good football player at that position, this happened a lot to LJ last year, that when you got your guy covered, they go someplace else. And so a lot of times those opportunities don't come up. But I was glad he took advantage of that one.
Coach, what's it do for your defense? You have some success. You coach it every day in practice to knock the ball out, to make a break on the ball. What's it do for a unit when you have that kind of game?
Well, I think the guys all look at it. It should inspire them to keep punching, clawing, eyes back, catching, doing ball drills, the whole thing. But we didn't do anything differently last week than we had in the prior 12 or whatever it is. Sometimes they just come in bunches. I'll keep saying it. I just hope we didn't use them all up. I hope there's more out there.
Last one, Matt.
The Texans, Steve, have a really diverse dynamic wide receiver group, and Nico Collins in particular seems like a matchup nightmare at times. What's the challenge with a guy like that?
Well, he's big and he's fast, and it's like you say about all these good wide receivers, that those 50-50 balls he usually comes down with. I've watched him on one play that keeps sticking out where they send him deep. CJ throws it to him. There's two guys right there. He comes up with the ball. We've faced those kind of guys before. And somehow, some way, you got to find a way to pry it out of there. But he's got some strong hands and a great catch radius. The quarterback has all kinds of confidence in him. And there's a couple of routes there that I think that they run exceptionally well that we figure we're going to see, because I think it looks like both the quarterback and the receiver are real comfortable with it. So we'll try to take those things away and then deal with whatever else comes up.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, yeah, good, thank you.
How did Pat look?
Yeah, I thought for him, it's a lighter day for us with the schedule that we have. So I thought, all things considered, he did well, and we'll just continue to just keep an eye on it.
What are you looking out for? You've been through this before with these ankles, but what are you just looking out for to say that gives you more confidence he'll be ready to go Saturday?
Just for him to be able to be honest with us as he goes through this, and it's all part of the game. We know he's a tough kid, so we understand that. But at the same point in time, you want to be smart. So I think we know our schedule this week and a little bit of a shorter week, so there's a balance there to that. But so far, I think that his mindset is to do everything he can, but at the same time, you still have to be able to see how he does throughout the week.
Now, what do you guys weigh when you're looking at left tackle between Joe Tooney, who's having to move at a different place, and then Wanye, who's obviously done it?
You probably just start off. I want to give a lot of credit to Joe coming in last week and doing what he did. I thought in that moment he did a great job against a really good front, and in particular Myles Garrett. So we'll continue to just kind of keep an eye on that. And in the end, Coach Reed will make the final decision on how we go with that and where we go. But I just look back to last week and just say, and for what Joe did in that moment, I think it just speaks to him and the value that he has of being able to have the flexibility to go out there and play tackle like he did.
You guys had a nice run-pass balance when going into halftime, and then in the second half, a little bit more pass-heavy. In your estimation, what led to some of the pass-heavier looks, I guess?
I don't know if I necessarily have an exact answer for you. There's a lot of things that go into the why or when the play works. There was certainly more of a balance there with the run game in the first half, but at the same point in time, you look at. We had the downfield throw there on third down to D-Hop. He almost makes a spectacular catch. So if you get you hit a few of those, I don't know necessarily. I feel like with the turnovers that the defense got, you'd like to have more productivity and get some more points. But we're working on that, and again, I think some of that can just be somewhat of the flow of the game, and I don't know if there's necessarily a particular reason.
You mentioned that you did have time for the deep shots, and you just were a little bit far off. It seemed like sailing a little bit. Is that just maybe not having as many opportunities this year to go downfield a little bit?
No, I don't think so. And I think there is, honestly, I think there's a balance to that too. I mean, Pat does a really good job of trying to really stay on time, and then in that pocket move his feet when he can. And it's not always going to be perfect, but there's times when you're going to have pressure in your face. There's times when there's going to be a clean pocket. When you have a clean pocket, you want to make sure that you're accurate and that you're taking advantage of that. But if there's not a clean pocket, it's not that easy all the time to make that throw. And so we got to make sure on our end as coaches that what are we doing to make sure that there is a clean pocket, because when he has a clean pocket, he can be deadly.
When you guys, after the game, it's easy to go back and say, oh, yeah, we ran the ball this many times or passed the ball this many times. When you're in the flow of trying to make the calls and do that, how difficult it is to kind of balance that out? Like, hey, we haven't run the ball in 6 plays or something like that.
Sure. It's probably there's a lot that goes into that, whether it's a play concept that maybe we saw that we liked in the past game that we wanted to try to get to, or maybe there's a run too that is called and it happens to be a pass that's an RPO. So sometimes that happens. There's a balance with that. But in general, I think you do want to try to be as balanced as you can for sure. But it's just matching up when you do call a pass, matching up that protection, matching out the route depth of the wide receivers, and then matching up the accuracy of Pat, putting all that together, and then the balance of the run game too, of being able to run the ball and get positive yards, so that it's not 2nd and 11 or 2nd and 9. You really would love to be 2nd and 4 or 2nd and 3.
Are there times you go back and you look and you go, how did that happen? Like during the game, I'm not specifically about this one, but you're like, did we forget to run the ball sometimes when you go back and have the meetings afterwards?
No, I don't think so at all. I think it's just sometimes the way the game plays out. I don't see it that way. I really don't. I think there's a flow to the game, and if the run game is working, you can stick with it, but still stay alive with play actions and movements. And I thought our nakeds were good last week, but you want to have a feel to it for sure.
You learned anything about Hopkins in the couple months that he's been here now that you didn't know about him before?
I knew from the first day that I saw him that he was going to be professional, but it's carried on to like very, he's unselfish in the fact of understanding. Now, there's going to be a lot of times in moments of the game that he wants a shot to get the ball, but he's also understands the selflessness that we have in this offense of spreading the ball around at times. And so I just really appreciate that. But there's a learning side to him too, also, in understanding that we do this thing together. And he's voiced that, man. He's like, this is great to be a part of a unit that everybody understands this thing goes through us, not through me, and I think that part's real. And to me, it's been really organic and positive from his side of it as far as how he's handled it.
A lot of times,
How much of a task?
A lot of times, guys will come to you at this stage of your careers, and they're kind of set in their ways. I mean, what have you seen from him in that regard?
He really hasn't been that way. He hasn't. There'll be some things that he sees throughout the game, and he'll come to you and voice like, "Hey, I see this." I love that. I know Coach Reed does too. On his end of it, he's got to understand too that, okay, we got you. If we see that, we'll get to that. But don't just think that just because you're saying that, that's going to happen. And he's been great with responding to us telling him that. And I don't think that should change. He has a lot of reps in his repertoire. He's played a lot of reps. He's seen a lot of things. And so I think there's a fine balance to that.
How much of a task is it to have a plan for if Pat goes and a plan for if Carson goes?
Some people may think it's more difficult, but I think for us, first of all, we've done this whole training camp, OTAs training camp, with this mindset of this offense that we have. Carson has been in this league a long time, and he stays prepared. And just like last week when he had to go in there, we all understood that he was going to go in, and he made a great third down pass there at the end. And you got to be mentally prepared in that moment as a backup. And so the same thing goes this week. Both guys, and nothing changes. I'd like to say something changes. It doesn't. Carson preps, like the best of them. So he knows that, if he plays and it's his time, he'll be ready. And the same thing if Pat plays, and he'll be ready. So I don't really think it's much of a challenge.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
How's it doing?
Fire away.
Well, coming off a performance with 6 turnovers, you know, this is defense finally turning the corner to getting those turnovers, and it's going your way this time.
Felt good, man. Felt good. We got a lot of things to fall our way. I think we continue to peak in the right direction towards the end of the year where we want to go. We just got to be consistent with it and keep it going.
You never played against CJ before, Chris. Just what jumps out to you on tape based on the way he can deliver the ball, but also he's pretty mobile in and out of the pocket.
Pretty mobile guy. Can make any throw. Quick release. Smart quarterback. And that offense is very scary. Starting with him, Joe Mixon, Tank Dell. This receiving core is probably one of the best in the league. So got to try to watch a little more film and see how we can affect this guy.
What ways are you seeing Charles impact the rest of you guys on the defensive line?
Well, it's a big relief. Charles got his first sack. You know, we was aiming to make sure Charles get a sack, make sure he get in the rhythm. We definitely need Charles playing his best, especially towards the end of the year and creeping up into the playoff. It can be vital for our defensive line success. I think he's continuing to doing that. Tershawn Warden is playing some of his best ball right now, and we got to keep George at it.
You and George, you know, kind of switching back and forth, 1-2 in the sacks department there. George has the lead right now, but, you know, how much more does that give you determination to pass him, just as, you know, just kind of a personal back and forth between you guys?
It's always friendly competition. Don't take that lightly. George. Well, we got 3 more games of the year. I think George is at 7. I'm at 5. Missed one last week. They gave a half a sack to George. Cincinnati Bengals game, haven't gotten over that. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to take the higher road. Well, yes, man. It's friendly competition. That's what you need in order to push the group. Challenge each other, bring the best out of each other, and continue to compete at a high level. So if that makes the group better, I'm still going to lead the group in sacks, though. Don't get that twisted.
Chris, how do you feel about playing on Christmas again?
Well, the fact that we got a game on Saturday and we come back Wednesday and have a game and we had a week 6 bye week, felt multiple ways. But Coach Reed is doing a very, very good job of making sure we're recovering well and helping us out within the practice schedule. We're going to try our best to recover. It's a quick turnaround. Make sure we're mentally locked in and make sure we can do what we can physically to get ready for a back-to-back game.
Chris, is it off of that? Is it even more frustrating considering y'all are trying to chase the 1 seed and you don't have a regular Sunday to Sunday to Sunday schedule this late in the year?
Well, that's the pros and cons of being a good team. You know what I mean? You get these type of games, you get these off-schedule games, and it's a gift and a curse because, you know, you have a good team, you want to get these games. But then again, you kind of want to get your rest. So it's like a catch-22, but we're definitely up for the challenge, looking forward to it, and we're excited about it.
Chris, when people back home ask you, what are the fans at Arrowhead like? What do you tell them?
Can't really compare. This fan base is crazy. I love it. Arrowhead. Let me get this right. G-Ha. Well, G-E-H-A at Arrowhead Stadium is probably one of the best stadiums in the world, man. The fans, the atmosphere, the intensity, the crowd. It just we gotta get a better DJ in there. The music is a little outdated, but I love the fans.
Chris, I don't know if you were aware of this, but the last time the Chiefs had won every game during the regular season at home was 2003. So what would it mean to go unbeaten at home?
We don't even think about that. This is the first time me actually hearing about that. It's no pressure. Our game is to focus on, our goal is to focus on the game ahead of us and try to win that. I don't think we more so chase the records or anything, but records are meant to be broken. So, you know, with that statement, I think we just focus on the Houston Texans, prepare ourselves the best way to challenge these guys and put ourselves in a position to win this game.
You mentioned how Coach Reed has had.
Actually, it helps us recover. It helps us focus more on details than anything.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.